Hi guys, it's me Uday Shankar. Welcome back to another tutorial of Python. Today we are going to learn about the self keyword. So self keyword, you can see the self keyword for the constructor and get detail method, and all of these normal method will get a parameter called self, and this parameter is something which we don't have to pass. For example, I'm going to call this, if I call this get detail method inside the init function, then I don't have to pass the self parameter, because it is by default the self parameter will be the current instance of the class, and from that instance you can access any of the key variables or methods inside the class. I can show you how you can do that, and even you can assign a new variable to the class using the same self keyword. So here I have a very basic class, and you can see that employee class, and I have two different variable outside. So for now maybe I can just I will keep it here. I'm not going to remove that, and I have a constructor and I have two different methods, and this is all I have. And here I'm going to create an instance of the same class. So I created an instance. Okay, so let's come back to the class, and here I have a self, right? So I'm going to assign a new variable to the class. So I can assign it two ways. That I can assign it this like this, without using the self. I can declare the variable on top of the class, like one is type and one is designation. These are all the two variables I added in the class level. And also using the self keyword, I am assigning one variable called name, and I assign it to John. And so here I can print the name using the self dot name. So I created a method, and I'm just printing this name variable in this method. So using the self keyword, I can access this name variable here, and also I can call this method using the same self keyword, self dot get detail. So this way I can call this method also. I'm going to print something here as well. I'm adding this printing function here, and now I created an instance of the class like this, and I'm going to call this get detail method using employee dot get detail. So now I will execute it, and you can see this, like first it is printing this John, because I assigned this name variable to the self here in the constructor like this, and the same variable I'm calling here in the get details function or method using print. That's why it printed this John here, and after printing John, I am accessing this get detail method, get all details method outside of this method using the same self keyword, and it printed other method called, that is the second text what you can see here. And the self is mainly used to access the variable or assign a variable to the class instance. So if I can even assign one more variable the same way inside the constructor, and you have to do this inside the constructor first if these variables are supposed to use in every function. You can assign it this way, age, and you can assign it as a number, and even you can assign a print that age also here. And from constructor I can call this first method get details even inside the constructor, and I don't have to call it here. As soon as I create an instance, as you know, this constructor will fire, and each of these variable will be assigned, and then it will call this specific function. You can see John and 18, and all these methods are calling the same way without calling the method separately like I did before. And as soon as I create the instance, it is calling the constructor. The constructor is executing, and it is executing line by line, and it is executing this particular method, and then from this method it is calling this specific method. And also guys, there are difference in method and function. Both are almost same, but there are some difference are there. I will explain you that in the upcoming video tutorial. And also you can call this type as well using the self. So I'm printing type. So you can see that software engineer, that is executed, and you can see that software engineer is printed, because you can, using the self, you can call this class level, or you can access this class level variables as well. Alright, this is all for this tutorial, and there are difference when you assign a variable like this in the class level as well as using this self keyword, and let's see that in the upcoming video tutorial. And as a conclusion, so in this video tutorial we learned what is self and what is the use of it, and you can this is mainly for declaring an instance variable of the class, like the variable which can be accessed using the instance. And even here, if you create a variable like that, you can access it here as well. Name, age and all, you can access it using the instance. And if I print here, and I am going to remove all these printing functions from here, and also I'm not going to call this. And even if I execute this, you can see that John, the text is printed here. That is getting printed by this specific print function, because I don't have any print function inside. And what happened here is, as soon as I create this instance, it assigned this name variable and age variable, and it executed all these functions, but these functions are not doing anything. And from this function I'm calling this function, but this function is just adding the pass keyword in the function body, so it's not doing anything. And after this instance is completed, then I'm printing the name variable of this specific instance using this, and that is why this value printed. So this is the use of this self keyword. And even here in this function I can access those name and age etc. from this class. So you can use the self anywhere in the class to access it, but keep in mind, if you are not having this self here as the first parameter, then if you add this, then it will end up with an error, and it's not a right approach to do this. You can see that it is returning an error. So the self should be the first parameter of this function. If you change this name, you can see so I changed this self to self1, and that also doing the same thing. Like, even if you change this name to self1, that also working fine, but I prefer you don't do that. You have to stick with the self keyword, and you don't modify it, because it has a specific meaning. So that's all guys for this tutorial, and let's see you in the upcoming video tutorial. Thanks guys for watching.